What's going on, everyone? It is I, the Chaos Reaper 419, alongside my good friend, the Prodigal Son.
Hello, hello.
And we are here for another episode of the Extra Point Podcast, where we may miss the point, but we do not miss
The extra point.
Alright, so, first order of business, we are going to discuss the happenings of Week 1 throughout the NFL. Injuries, games, the like.
For Week 1, obviously, we all know how the NFL is. It was crazy. A lot, and you speak of injuries, a lot of injuries already, and a couple people are out for the season, and they only played one game. It sucks, but we got a lot to talk about. We're going through every game, and later on we're going to go through Week 2. So let's get the show on the road.
Alright, so starting off, obviously, we had the Thursday night game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Which, hell of a fucking way to start the season. Hell of a game to start, because a lot of people weren't giving the Cowboys much of a chance, and they only lost because they gave Tom Brady too much time, which you can never give Tom Brady any fucking time. He'll make you pay for it. But I mean, starting out, Dak didn't look like he missed a step.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Although I didn't personally start watching until after halftime. From what I saw from the first half highlights and the second half that I actually did watch, I mean, honestly, I think the fucking Cowboys, if Dak can keep it up, might actually be somewhat of a threat if they keep playing like that. Because, I mean, let's be honest here. It's the fucking Buccaneers. They didn't lose anybody in the offseason. To not give the Cowboys much of a chance was a pretty smart idea by most people. Like, if you're trying to fucking go into the season and placing a bet on the team, who are you going to place a bet on? The Super Bowl champions or the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah. Over underachievers like fuck the Dallas Cowboys are, but I was able to watch the whole game, and I could say that again. Dak missed no step. The defense played a whole lot better. Dallas's defense played a whole lot better than initially thought. Them being a historically one of the worst defenses last year. Speaking of the Cowboys, I just wanted to give a shout out to our man Hunter, aka Youngblood. Hope you're good, man. Sad that you'll be missing this episode, but we'll see you in the next. But the issue with the Cowboys was not being able to establish a run game. And, there's a lot of expectations for Zeke coming back this season with Dak being back. Yes, they were missing a couple pieces on the offensive line, but Zeke is one of the highest paid running backs in the league, and he did it again, much like he did last season.
Yeah, but I do feel like that has more to say about the Bucs' defensive line than it does lack of Zeke's performance. At least for now. If it keeps up and becomes a constant trend, then I might have reason to worry about how he's playing, but
I mean, you're right. The Bucs had a number 3 front four last year, so that makes sense. But if you look at the next couple weeks, Zeke gets the Chargers. Zeke gets the Zeke gets the Eagles. I mean, he has some favorable matchups. Then he has the Panthers. I mean, he has favorable matchups in the next coming weeks. But we'll go ahead.
So yeah, like I said, it's just play it by ear, see how it goes. It's kind of the same. Another game that we're gonna get to, but it's kind of the same thing I'm doing with Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to completely write off the player yet, but if it becomes a trend, then you might have reason to worry.
Yeah. And obviously Tampa looked like, they won the Super Bowl last year. Antonio Brown dipped into his Steeler days and completely torched. I mean, when you look at it, the top corners on Dallas are covering Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So you give Antonio Brown your third best cornerback? That, I mean, again, Bucks have so many mismatches
I mean,
with their. Go ahead.
oh, you mentioned them putting their top two guys on Mike Evans and who else you said?
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of. I mean, I didn't really see much from Evans, so obviously that worked out pretty well. Godwin, I think, had like what, one touchdown.
He had a touchdown.
Yeah, he had like one touchdown, so I mean, can't really say much about him, but I mean,
But he did eclipse 100 yards. He had like 105.
yeah, so
And that's what's strong about the Bucks is that okay, he took care of Mike Evans. We still got Chris Godwin. We still have Antonio Brown. We still have Rob Gronkowski. I mean, they can hit you anywhere. And Gronk had 2 touchdowns that night as well. The Bucks are just a mismatch for everybody, even on the defensive side. And already we can talk about the injuries here. Murphy Bunting. I don't know if you saw it, but he snapped his arm in half, and it looked ugly. So that's already a key piece to Tampa's defense gone. On the opposite side, news broke out today that Dexter Lawrence, what was it? He broke his foot.
yeah, I think that's what Hunter said was his foot, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he's out 6 to 8 weeks. So your Dallas's best pass rusher, been consistent since 2016, is now out. So now, the next couple quarterbacks that they fight, Justin Herbert, he can pretty much be chilling in the pocket now that Lawrence is gone.
Another person Hunter told me was injured for at least 3 to 4 weeks was Michael Gallup.
Yeah, and that's your number 3 receiver, and he's really good too. So Dallas is getting hurt real early, and La'el Collins got suspended for 5 games. So they're just getting hit everywhere. But I feel like as long as Dak plays at the level that he's been playing at, then they should have no issue staying in games.
Alright, so next game, and how we're going to do this is basically we're going to go through all the games and then get our game of the week, sleeper game, and least favorite game of the week. So, Seahawks at the Colts.
So this was a game that I was really looking forward to because I'm an inner Colts fan, but I love Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a GOAT. And under new offensive coordinator, Wilson thrived. He threw 4 touchdowns. He felt good. Granted, he got sacked 3 times, but outside of that, he felt comfy. Tyler Lockett is a mismatch nightmare. Then you got DK on the other side who got one late in the game. I mean, there were a lot of people that thought that Seattle would go on a downward trend this year. And, I mean, putting up 28 points, Russell Wilson looking better than ever. I mean, at one point, Russell Wilson was the MVP last year. So, I mean, if we're week 1 and he's looking better than ever, I mean, that's dangerous for the league.
All Alright, so I'm going to say the same thing about Russell Wilson that I said about Jameis Winston. I feel like this is another make or break year for Russell Wilson because throughout the past, I want to say 5, 6 years since, or honestly since the last time they actually went to the Super Bowl, it's always been expectation after expectation for Wilson and the Seahawks. Almost every year, nearly getting there, but then ending up choking. You'd have to imagine that the front office and whoever else is in charge is only giving Wilson so much time at this point to get the job done.
Yeah, but you can say a similar situation with Aaron Rodgers. Like,
oh, definitely.
They're giving, like, they've given more pieces to Russell Wilson than they did Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, Russell Wilson's running for his life. Since they went to the Super Bowl, Russell Wilson is one of the most sacked quarterbacks, even with his running ability. Because obviously, you don't want Russell Wilson to run out of the pocket, but he's been sacked so many times in the last couple of years. One of the most sacked quarterbacks behind Deshaun Watson in the last couple of years. I mean, you can only do so much. You can only run out of the pocket so much. And definitely Seattle's defense has seen better days. I mean, Bobby Wagner can only do so much. And they lost Shaquille Griffin in the offseason, so that's your best corner right there. I wouldn't say it's a make or break season for Russell Wilson. More so, it's a make or break season for Seattle's front office.
So you think that if they don't make the playoffs or miss the Super Bowl, that the coaches are going and not Wilson?
I think so. Because Russell Wilson's, again, he was damn near MVP last season. If he didn't go through that bad stretch last year, he would have won MVP. I feel like. So, Russell Wilson hasn't regressed.
Oh, definitely not.
On the Colts side of things, so Carson Wentz looked a lot better in the pocket. Granted, he has a whole lot better offensive line than he did in Philly. He also got sacked 3 times, but it wasn't like bad sacks. Wentz looked comfortable. He was running, which is something, again, like he hurt his leg in the offseason. So you wouldn't have thought that he'd be running as much as he did. And a lot of people coming into the season were saying that Jonathan Taylor was going to be, he's going to have a sophomore slump, but he had over 100 scrimmage yards. He was being a beast out there. And obviously, Indianapolis's defense, they gave up 28 points, but they're still able to get after the quarterback. They're still able to get punts. The Colts are not a bad team. Seattle just outplayed them. I feel like Wentz might be in for a bounce back year. I don't think like a big bounce back year, but definitely better than what people are giving him.
Alright, so before we get on to the next game, I have a question for you, Luigi.
Shoot.
Have you ever watched something so horrible that you just wanted to absolutely just go to the source and just burn down the place?
Yes, of course.
So, our next game is the Texans versus Jaguars.
Yeah, so everyone thought that Trevor Lawrence is undefeated coming out of college. He was undefeated in college, undefeated in high school. New coach, Urban Meyer, who's one of the most winningest coaches in college history. They have, a decent roster. They're playing the Texans, who literally the only time the Texans were brought up, in the offseason was about the shit with Deshaun Watson. They had Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. People dismiss how good Tyrod Taylor actually is.
Tyrod Taylor is freaking amazing.
He's really good. He every situation that he's been put in has screwed him over. But everyone was writing the Texans as a potential 0-17 team, 1-win team.
I mean, look how much we trashed them in our fucking week 1 predictions.
Oh yeah, I gave them 1 win.
Now we might have
Jacksonville is gonna blow them the fuck out.
To be fair, I gave them 2 wins, both of them division against Jacksonville.
They balled the fuck out. They made Trevor Lawrence look like a bitch.
Okay, so
Trevor Lawrence was awful in his debut.
So I don't know how many times I need to say this, and I've said this many times in the group chat. Success in college does not correlate to success in the NFL. I do not give a crap if you're a Heisman winner or if you're the worst player on your team in college. That means absolutely nothing going into the NFL. I know this for a fact, considering that I think it's a vast majority of the Heisman winners actually end up being duds when they get to the pro level. Like, there's very far in between good success stories when it comes to Heisman winners or even Heisman candidates going to the NFL.
Yeah. You're right.
So, I mean, like, the expectations for Lawrence, I feel like, were too high from the get-go. Like, everybody was expecting him to just come in and be a savior for Jacksonville when Jacksonville needs far more than just a new quarterback.
Yeah, and we'll get to that when we talk about the Jets, because again, a quarterback, one player does not change the whole dynamic of a team. And Houston threw the ball well. Tyrod Taylor took care of the ball. Mark Ingram, 26 carries, and he was written off. He was in a committee with when he was in Baltimore. 26 carries. And then Brandon Cooks obviously is a very underrated receiver. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And Houston, just trashed Lawrence all day. 3 interceptions. He only got a third touchdown in garbage time. I mean, now, does this make Houston legit? Hell no.
It's against Jacksonville. Don't really want
Jacksonville. Yeah. I think they play. Who do they play this week? See who the Texans play this week. I think it's someone who's gonna trash the floor with them. Just to give y'all an idea, the Houston Texans play the Cleveland Browns. Now, granted, I did say that their 1 win in the predictions, their 1 win was going to be against Cleveland, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really think so either. Like I said, I gave them 2 wins, both of them division against Jacksonville. So far,
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give it a second, and we're going to talk about the controversy that's going in Jacksonville at the moment with Urban Myers.
Oh, yeah, so about that, let me see, I'm going to pull up something real quick that I saw earlier. Okay, so latest update from what I'm seeing is Urban Meyer saying that there's no chance that he's leaving Jacksonville, but everybody else I've seen is saying that he might be leaving for USC.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Trojans, not South Carolina, for those of you who are wondering, and for Sydney if she comes and watches this.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reports that a lot of people don't like the way that Urban Meyer's coaching. He's been very aggressive. And like he said that I think it was him. I can't remember. I don't think it was him. But he trashed his team for winning a close game in the preseason. I don't know if that was him or not. But if it was, what the fuck? First of all, it's preseason.
Nobody gives a fuck about the preseason.
Yes, but even then, they won. They didn't lose. They won. Well, Jesus.
Alright, so our next game, and this is honestly a game that actually surprised me. Not saying that it surprised me for it being good, but for how fucking lopsided it was. Eagles versus the Falcons.
Yep, I knew that one was. As soon as you said that, I knew that was the one. Because people were writing off Philadelphia coming into the season. They didn't think Jalen Hurts was all that. And, I mean, these two teams are very similar in, like, how they are, where they're going, stuff like that. But nobody thought that Philly was going to win this, let alone win it how they did. Did you know that Jalen Hurts' jersey got a 500% increase in sales after the game?
Damn. Speaking of Jalen Hurts stats, the final score was 32-6, so not really much of a game. But Jalen Hurts, 27 for 35, 264 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he did a beauty to Devontae Smith, who was going into the draft the number 1 receiver. And he gets his first career touchdown already. And props to the Eagles defense, because Matt Ryan was flushed all day. All day. He didn't muster shit. He did not look like he was there to play that day.
Oh, did you see that fucking... Did you see the fucking picture of Matt Ryan just laid out on his stomach, just face down in the fucking ground with a bunch of people surrounding him?
Yeah, I saw that. That explains the game right there, just that picture. There wasn't high expectations for the Falcons. But going up against a shitty team, you could have mustered more than 6 points.
I mean, and that's the thing about the NFL in week 1, like, we have so many expectations, but half the time it never pans out, just because, like, you always have those sleeper games and those shock upsets in the first week that no one ever really sees coming, but throughout the rest of the season, everything seems to right itself. And
yeah,
so
it's about like week 5 or 6, and then you don't know who's good, who's not.
So, Philly fans, I mean, congrats on your win, but I wouldn't get your hopes up too much so far. Because, I mean, I know how you got. I know how you guys are. Like, you'll take a win and go a mile with it.
Who, Eagles fans?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they have the 49ers next, who are healthy in defense. So I wouldn't be celebrating too much. Although we'll get to them later because they did blow a lead. But anyway, let's talk about them next. San Francisco and Detroit. So obviously everyone else is writing Detroit off as being the second worst team behind Houston this season. And for a second, there was. Jared Goff, I think threw the ball like 58 times. And most of those completions were either to TJ Hawkinson, which I called at the beginning of the year, and his running backs, Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Most of his throws were either check downs or throws to TJ Hawkinson. That's it. Um, 49ers scored 41 points. They were up 41-17, and they almost let Detroit come back in that game. And it came on an incompletion. Like, crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I gave the Lions more expectations for the season than you and Hunter did. So, I mean, offensive. Okay, so offensive side of the ball for the fucking 49ers, I think we have to address the elephant in the room with Mozart.
Yeah, so he's done for the year. They put him on IR, expecting him to return. They said he'd be out for up to 8 weeks, but then I think a day or two later, they just downgraded him to out of the season. And that sucks because he's been hurt the last couple of years. When healthy, he's good. But
here's another thing we need to touch on. Jimmy Garoppolo only had one touchdown, but 314 yards, 189 of them to Deebo Samuel, who I am extremely pissed off that I benched.
Yeah, me and you both. Not with Deebo, but I benched Antonio Brown. But yeah, you had Deebo 189 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, that was one of the players that you shouldn't have benched. Granted, coming into the season, Jimmy Garoppolo only played 3 or 4 games last year. A lot of people were not writing him off, but like obviously with the emergence of Trey Lance being drafted, obviously, eyes were going to be on Jimmy G. And outside of that first snap, which he fumbled, Jimmy played a great game and obviously rode the tailback of his defense and running game because both excelled. He took care of the ball, and Trey Lance did get a touchdown. He did throw his first touchdown.
Okay, so for those of you who are wondering why on earth I would bench Deebo Samuel, I'm just going to give you a rundown here. So at receiver, Luigi, I have DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, DJ Shark, Antonio Brown, and the option of Mike Williams or Deebo Samuel for flex positions. So going in, obviously, I'm thinking Julio Jones is actually going to have a better day than Deebo Samuel, so I put Julio Jones in instead of Deebo.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
It's Julio Jones, though. You can't really fault me for...
Yeah, no, we don't. But, again, every week, and that's what's hard about fantasy, because any week anybody can either go off or dud. Right? There's only a select few players that produce on a weekly basis. Like, I guarantee you, he might have another game like that, but I don't see Deebo Samuel going for 189 yards every week.
Well, this week, I believe, like you said, the 49ers have the Eagles, right?
They do. That would be a game where I would. Yeah, if you read all your receivers correctly, this week I would start Deebo over Julio Jones because I believe the Titans have the Seahawks next.
Yeah, I believe so. Hold on. Let me go check the Seahawks real quick. Yeah, Titans at Seattle next.
Yeah, so...
Alright, so We've touched up on Jags, Bucks, Colts, Eagles, Falcons, Chargers versus the Washington football team.
So this going into week 1 was, they had the potential to be game of the week because both teams are going into this season with good expectations, right? The Chargers have a revamped offensive line. Justin Herbert is coming off of offensive rookie of the year. People were already, even before the season started, there were some people that were wanting Justin Herbert to win MVP this year. He snagged Jared Cook, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams are healthy, Austin Eckler's healthy. Their defense is great. I mean, there's a lot of good things coming out of the Chargers going into this season. Opposite Washington, they have arguably the best defense in the league. And, you know, with Antonio Gibson and Scary Terry helping, Fitzmagic and whoever else at quarterback, you know, again, people are saying that Washington's going to win the division this year. And it was a good game, 20-16, so obviously not high scoring due to the defenses, but the Chargers snuck away with it. Obviously the elephant in the room for that is that Fitzmagic is out for 5 to 8 weeks with a broken hip.
But who in at quarterback then?
Taylor Heineke, you know all about him for his Carolina days.
Yep, and apparently a lot of people are wanting Washington to pick up Cam Newton, and Rivera is saying flat out no to that, which is something that actually surprises me.
You know, there's another quarterback that's actually put his name in the pot, and it's RG3. I wouldn't mind a RG3 Washington reunion, just not obviously this week because we play them, but I mean, that'd be nice. Hell, I think both Cam and RG3 are better than Taylor Heineke, but I mean,
that's another thing I want to address. Did Cam do something to piss off the NFL? I mean, other than what he usually does to piss off the NFL?
Yeah, he's unvaccinated and refuses to get it.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yep. And for all of those anti-vaxxers, fuck you. For those who watch, you get a slightly lesser fuck you. Go get vaccinated. Anyway, no political crap here. That's why Cam got released. I think that was a big reason why Cam got released.
Alright, so up next, Steelers at the Bills. This was actually my sleeper game.
Oh. So, obviously not what I don't know if you expected it or not. Obviously the Steelers have one of the best defenses in the league. But I feel like Josh Allen could have had a better game. They just kept them in check. Steelers' offense was sloppy throughout the entire game. Their defense won them that game, hands down. Najee Harris had like 40 yards. So, dud like fuck. Ben Roethlisberger, like a lot of his throws were shitty to start out with. This has to be his final season.
Yep, but so the reason why this game was a sleeper game for me, first 2 quarters, right? You have 0 points put up by the Pittsburgh Steelers, only 6 in the third. So at that point, I'm pretty much assuming that we're all thinking that this is going to be a fucking blowout and that Bills are going to hold on to win. 17 points unanswered, or 17 points in the fourth quarter by Pittsburgh. Only 6 in the fourth quarter by the Bills. Pittsburgh ends up coming out with the win at the last minute. So, I mean, I don't really want to put too much stock into the Steelers. Like you said, the fucking Roethlisberger looked like absolute dog shit.
Yep. It's more so, a lot of people are, and again, people overreact. People, already make assumptions. I'm like, it's week 1. Give people time. Everyone's saying that last year's season by Josh Allen was a fluke. I'm like, really? Josh Allen is going up against one of the best defenses, so you got to cut him some slack there. Yes, he was a potential MVP last season, but again, this is week 1. Okay? Week 1. The Bills have a much better game this week against Miami. So Josh Allen should definitely show out then. But everyone who's overreacting like that needs to calm down.
And the Steelers' defense, it aren't really anything to laugh at anyway. Like, say what you will about Ben Roethlisberger going down, but as long as the Steelers' defense can do what they do.
Yes, they led the league in sacks. Minka Fitzpatrick was the second best secondary guy last year behind Xavier Howard. And, they had Bud Dupree and they had a couple other pieces on there. I mean, TJ Watt was second in Defensive Player of the Year vote.
And TJ Watt just got signed to a huge fucking contract, too.
Oh, yeah. So he's definitely going to show out now that he's got paid. He's like, okay, now let me do my thing. So, again, Steelers are no joke.
At least, yeah. I mean, I don't really see Ben taking them to the promised land. If he does, it's going to be because of the defense this year. But
for sure.
So, up next, let's see here. What do we got? We already did 49ers at Lions. Vikings at Bengals.
So this is my sleeper game. Because I knew this was going to be a good game going into week 1. Because you got Burrow coming back from his ACL. You just paired him up with his old college teammate, Jamar Chase. You have... Their offensive line is still pretty bad. But on the opposite end, the Vikings are on and off every year. They're great one year, go to the playoffs, and they're so-so and miss the playoffs because they, win, lose. They've always been a win-lose team. But I knew this was going to be a good game. I didn't expect this game to go to the final seconds of overtime. So that's why I have it as my sleeper game. But I picked Cincinnati to win, and Cincinnati is one of my sleeper teams this year. Granted, I don't have them going to the playoffs, but I have them surprising a lot of people. I have Joe Burrow having a much, much better season coming back off of his ACL. And a lot of people were writing Jamar Chase off, like, why the hell did they waste their first-round pick on Jamar Chase? And Jamar Chase proved why he was drafted with the Bengals' first pick.
Alright, so for me, I honestly have to say I did not watch this game until the fourth quarter. Like, I was busy out doing stuff with friends at the time, so I can't really say much on this. Now, as for who I picked, I believe I picked Minnesota.
You did.
Yeah, so
I'll say this for Minnesota. I mean, Dalvin Cook played the way Dalvin Cook plays. It was Kirk Cousins. I mean, this game was on him because, Thielen played a really good game. He had 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson had a good game. Just Kirk, a lot of times, and I know a lot about Kirk Cousins because of his time in Washington, with the Giants playing him twice a year. He loves his checkdowns, and he checks down a lot. But you got two speedsters on your freaking team. Like, go deep. You can go deep more than once or twice. Kirk, I don't think Minnesota is going to win with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, but he's not a quarterback that's going to take you to the damn Super Bowl. That's for sure. But Cincinnati's off to a 1-0 start. Hell, they had to use pretty much all the time that they had at their disposal.
Yeah, so another thing that kind of surprises me here, Dalvin Cook had 20 carries for only 61 yards and averaged 3 yards per run and a touchdown. I mean, which the touchdown is good, great, yay, whatever, but only 61 yards off of 20 carries for someone like Cook.
Top 3 running backs, right?
Yeah, especially against a team like the Bengals, who, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not exactly bad at at defense, but like you saw them last year, like they were getting ran all over.
Yeah, they're getting mollywopped.
Yeah, so.
But I will say, Dalvin Cook did lose a crucial fumble. Granted, me and Renee were talking about that fumble. A lot of people are saying that it shouldn't have been ruled a fumble because on the replays you can't see the ball. So it should have been ruled, that he was down, because when he was down, he couldn't see the ball. But they ruled it at first as a fumble, so that's why they couldn't overturn the fumble, because they didn't have enough evidence. But he did lose it, so it goes on the stat sheet as a lost fumble. So that was really crucial for the Bengals. But the Bengals, again, even though they won, Burrow got sacked 5 times. And that was the issue going into the season, was their offensive line. And they didn't take Penny Swole. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, so Bengals pull out the win in overtime, 27-24. Hell of a game. I did see the fourth quarter and overtime. I was honestly thinking that we might have actually had a draw there, which...
Yay! Although the last couple ties in the league, haven't Cincinnati been a part of almost all of them?
Yep, they're cursed when it comes to tie games.
Didn't they tie with Carolina that one year?
Yeah. When we went 7-9 and make the playoffs?
Yeah, 7-1 and made the playoffs. God. Shitty.
And won a playoff game, actually, against Arizona, which should have never happened.
Yeah. Good times.
Speaking of Carolina, so I don't want to say this right now because it's way too early, but I kind of have a feeling that it wasn't a fucking Sam Darnold problem in New York, but more of a coaching problem in New York.
Yeah, I'll give you the reins here, bro. It's your team.
Alright, so Jets at Carolina, final score Jets 14, Carolina 19. Sam Darnold, 24 of 35, 279 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. Let me just emphasize this. He didn't have any interceptions. Last year at the Jets, I believe he was one of the most intercepted quarterbacks in the NFL. If I remember correctly. I mean... Yeah. And then you had the debut of Zach Wilson, not too bad himself, 20 for 37, 258 yards, a touchdown and an interception, which I believe the interception came late in the third quarter, if I remember correctly. So, I can't really say much about this Carolina team because it's one win. way too early, and it's a game against the Jets. So, same advice I gave to the Eagles fans, I'm giving to my fellow Carolina fans. Don't invest too much into this win. You had Christian McCaffrey, 21 carries, 98 yards, no touchdowns, but still had a hell of a day for fantasy people.
Oh yeah, he had 187 scrimmage yards, something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely carried for sure.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
if Donald keeps up the consistency like he did in this game against the Jets, I actually have really high hopes for the season. But
well, you guys got the Saints next, so that'll be already your test.
Yeah, so I'm just going to segue off of that straight into the Saints game since.
Yeah, so for me, that's the the underwhelming game of the week. I wouldn't say the trashiest game, but just a game that just didn't have it all there. Jameis Winston can see the field now. He missed like 5 throws. He had close to 200 yards. Didn't have a lot of yards, but he had 5 touchdowns. 5. And
LASIK eye surgery does wonders.
Apparently. I mean, we saw it a little bit in the preseason how well he was doing, and then going up again, Green Bay was in the NFC title match last year. The defense is not bad, and obviously they have Rodgers and Devontae Adams on offense. So obviously you weren't expecting them to blow them out 38-3.
This game was a tale of two teams. On one side, you have the Saints, who offensively and defensively just looked like a cohesive unit. Like, they had trust in their quarterback, they had trust in their players, and then on the other side, you could see it during the sideline interactions. These players do not trust Aaron Rodgers whatsoever. You could see the look on their faces. They looked like Rodgers had given up on them.
So obviously, I mean, if you were living under a rock, if you weren't living under a rock, you would know that this is Aaron Rodgers' last season as a Green Bay Packer. This is also Devontae Adams' last season as a Green Bay Packer. So again, I know, John, I'll let you go into your spiel in a second because you already touched on it a lot in the first video. Again, people were saying, okay, so the fact that Aaron Rodgers is playing, right, and isn't holding out or demanding a trade or anything, that he was still going to do what he always does, right? He was MVP last year. And then out comes this game. Nobody was expecting it. Definitely not me.
But me, I was expecting it. I told you it was going to fucking happen.
As bad as it was, though?
Oh, I wasn't expecting it to be as bad. I was expecting it to be maybe 38 points is fine with me for the Saints, but I was expecting at least 14, 21 points by Green Bay.
And they mustered up a field goal.
And just another fucking thing I saw on Twitter, someone was trashing Green Bay fans. Just imagine driving for hours on end to play in a stadium, to play in Jacksonville for a fucking NFL game, just to watch your team fucking put up a field goal.
Yeah, that.
So,
It sucks.
overall stats, Jameis Winston, 14 for 20, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then you had Taysom Hill with 1 for 1 for 3 yards, which, big whoop, nobody cares. Anyway, so on the Packers side, Aaron Rodgers, 15 for 28, 133 yards, 2 interceptions. Jordan Love, 5 for 7, 68 yards, no touchdowns, which, honestly, I'm going to make the argument. If they would have started Jordan Love, they would not have won. They still would have lost. This was Saints' game to win regardless. But they would have had a hell of a lot better chance, I feel, in this game.
Well, they did let Jordan Love play for most of the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers had 5 interceptions last year, all year, and he's already gotten 2. So already about halfway for that. Again, like we were talking about Russell Wilson earlier, we'll have to see because there's only week 1, all right? Green Bay has Detroit up next, so you know how Aaron Rodgers does against division opponents. So, and it's in Lambeau Field. So, and it's on prime time. So we'll give it. But I'll say this, and you said it earlier this week. If they lose to Detroit, then I'll start.
I feel like it's the manner of which they lose, though. Like, if Aaron Rodgers has, like, a field day and still ends up losing by, like, a field goal or something, or, like, if it's a close game, then might not be able to say that. It ultimately comes on to the context of how this loss happens, if it does.
Yeah. But, yeah, you're right.
But it's the fucking Lions, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose against the Lions, so if he loses against Detroit, then regardless, that might give reason to worry.
Yeah.
So, the Saints have Carolina, I believe we said, and Detroit has Green Bay, so let's see
It'll be a test for both teams, and test, I mean Packers and Panthers. Because if the Panthers can beat the Saints with how the Saints just played, then yes, you could start looking into Sam Darnold and how he's doing. Same with the Packers. If the Packers lose like they did to Detroit, then obviously you gotta raise questions. A lot of questions.
Alright, so up next is my game of the week. Browns at the Chiefs.
Excuse me, very good game. We all know how the Browns are. You know, they're the Browns. They blew a 22-10 lead.
Pretty Brownsy thing to do.
Yes, of course. And I'll say this right now. I mean, obviously it's been said plenty of times before, but I still have to say it. Pat Mahomes is unfair. This man was able to... He was running out of bounds. He was slanted, okay? And he heaved a sidearm throw. 50-plus yards to Tyreek Hill for a 75-yard touchdown.
Okay, so...
What quarterback in their right mind? Like, he surprises me every single game. I don't understand how insanely good he is.
Okay, so you ever played the game NFL Blitz for N64?
Of course.
Yeah, so you know all those fucking weird ass cheat codes that you could put in to fucking like make your quarterback do fucking wild ass sidearm throws and fucking deep throws and shit? Fucking Patrick Mahomes is the living embodiment of an NFL Blitz cheat code.
And the fact that, okay, so he's been in the league for 4 years, right? So, obviously, let's see if he can do this consistently, but he's been doing it consistently. He's won a Super Bowl already. He's made 3 straight AFC Championship matches. I mean, and again, their defense gave up 29 points, right? So we've known time and time again the last couple of years the Chiefs don't have a good defense. They'll give up points. But Patrick Mahomes will also put up double that. So, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that the Chiefs can repeat as AFC champions, can repeat as potential Super Bowl champions. I mean, as long as Pat Mahomes plays like Pat Mahomes, they're going to be the number one team in the AFC no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, the Browns aren't anything to sneeze at either. Like, 29 points against the Chiefs. I mean, granted, I can't really say much of that had much to do with Baker Mayfield. Like, 21 for 28, 321 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception, which... That interception, yeah. Yeah. So, Baker choked at the end. Most of this game was put on the backs of
Nick Chubb,
Kareem Hunt, and Javaris Landry, who had all four of the touchdowns for the Browns.
So, I mean, look, again, the Browns are not a bad team whatsoever. A lot of people are saying that they're the number 4 ranked team in the league. The league. You know, so the Browns are not a bad team at all. And again, this was a rematch from last year's playoffs. I mean, this is just week 1. Granted, Cleveland still doesn't have OBJ back, and I don't know how big of an impact he's going to have. But he is already confirmed to be out for next week. Or for this week, I'm sorry. So, but, I mean, both of these teams are playoff teams. It was a fantastic game. A field goal game. So, you know, nothing to complain about. Neither team has much to complain about.
Alright, so, next game. Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Dolphins win 17-16. Which, this is kind of a weird feeling, seeing the Dolphins beat the fucking Patriots so much, so often lately.
Yep, ever since Brady left. The Dolphins, again, they went 10-6. They missed the playoffs, but they went 10-6 last year. Tua, you know, is looking more comfortable. Their defense is obviously really good. A 17-16 game between these two teams seems very likely if they played every week. Neither of these teams are going to blow the other one out. It's division. You know.
The Dolphins and Patriots have always had close games.
Oh yeah, for sure. Neither one has ever blown the other out. But I will say, in his debut, Mac Jones played a really, really good game. And I feel like, I know that, again, a lot of people are saying that they found their savior, right? That, you know, they found their next Brady or not, whatnot. You know, relax, people. He played a good game. He got some people back on defense. Dante Hightower. Granted, you still don't have Stephon Gilmore for like another 4 or 5 weeks, but the Patriots, like I said about the last game, the Patriots have nothing to be ashamed about. They played a really good game, so you know, nothing to complain about there. And obviously, a lot of people, including Hunter, were having the Dolphins as a sleeper wildcard team, potentially division champs. So,
yep. So, for me, I have to say, when it comes to Mac Jones, I was actually pretty impressed by his showing. Didn't get the victory, but I mean, like, can't really put too much emphasis on a 1-point loss. So
yeah.
Anyway, up next,
I think we skipped a 1:00 game. We didn't talk about the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, let's go back to that then.
Yeah, because this is a game that I would have loved to have Hunter in to talk about because he had all four NFC West teams going to the playoffs, and he had the Cardinals as a very, very strong team. Obviously, I'll say this: I love the Cardinals, and I thought that they were going to do good this year, but not, you know, I feel like they're still missing a step or two. But if this game shows anything, because again, Tennessee, the last couple of years, AFC title picture, they've beaten Patrick Mahomes, they've beaten Lamar Jackson, so this Titans team is strong. And I had this Titans team going 15-2, and the Cardinals wiped the floor with them. Kyler Murray had 5 total touchdowns. Chandler Jones had 5 total sacks and 6 tackles alone. And this is Chandler Jones opted out he was hurt all last season. So he came back this year, first game, 5 sacks, 3 in the first quarter. Like, that is insane. We knew the Cardinals were going to be good, but holy shit, this game blew all expectations and proportions out of the water.
And I feel like Hunter's mad at himself for fucking giving the Cardinals such high expectations, especially when it comes to fucking fantasy, because I was playing him and I had fucking Kyler Murray and fucking DeAndre Hopkins both going against him.
Oh yeah, and Hop had 2 touchdowns. So I mean, their best receiver went off. So Christian Kirk is a very underrated receiver as well.
Oh, definitely, and like I feel that has a lot to say about DeAndre Hopkins though, because like I'm gonna be honest with you, when he left fucking Houston, I did not expect him to put up the same type of numbers anywhere else. Like, I thought, like, him and fucking Watson were, like, a match made in heaven duo when it came to quarterback and wide receiver. But no, apparently DeAndre Hopkins doesn't give a fuck who his quarterback is.
Hell, that was the case before Deshaun Watson got there. Like, he had booty cheeks as fucking quarterbacks. And there's a reason why DeAndre Hopkins is considered one, if not the top receiver in the league, because he rarely has dead games. Rarely.
So
and it doesn't help with the Titans. You know, with a lot of high expectations for the Titans, and now they have Seattle this week. They have a very, very, very rough schedule. If I'm not mistaken, their next, like, I think their first, 4 or 5 weeks are tough. They have Seattle, right? Then, let's see, where are they at this week? I can't find them. Then they have the Colts, which division games are always very, very tough. And the Colts usually always beat the Titans for some reason. And then, then the Titans have the Jets, so they're fine. You know, they'll take a W. But, yeah, no, and then they have the Jaguars, so they'll take a W. But then they have Buffalo. So, I mean, they have Buffalo, then Kansas City. I mean, they got a rough first half of the schedule, so.
And they're going to need to right their ship fast, especially after a loss like this, so.
Oh, yeah, and Derrick Henry was a non-factor. Non-factor whatsoever. Julio Jones, non-factor whatsoever. Nobody was a factor in that game for them.
Alright, so up next, it's your game, so I'm going to let you take the floor with this one. Broncos at the Giants.
Oh, great. The football gods gave us the Denver Broncos at home week 1. And we managed to blow it. I'm not discrediting Denver at all. I thought Denver was going to be a sleeper team this year as well. Von Miller's coming back, but you don't know how if Von Miller is going to play at the same level that he played a couple years ago. Yeah, he did. He had 2 sacks and was all over the field, even without Bradley Chubb, because Bradley Chubb was out. Daniel Jones, luckily, was only sacked twice. I think once. It was either once or twice. But the play calling, I think the play calling is the issue because we only had, I think, 2 throws, 20-plus yards downfield. Also, Daniel Jones has reached 30 fumbles in his career. Was it 30 or 40? I can't remember. But he led the league, his rookie year, he led the league in fumbles. Last year, he led the league in fumbles. This year, he's already fumbled 1 game. I say this is the prove-it season for Daniel Jones. He has no excuse. I mean, granted, the offensive line is still not the best, but he has literally all the weapons in the world. Considering the fact that he has now Kenny Golladay on the outside, right? Kenny Golladay is not the factor there. It's Sterling Shepard, and I don't know if you feel the same way or if anybody else does, but I've watched Sterling Shepard even when he was at Oklahoma. Sterling Shepard, in my mind, okay, even if I wasn't a Giants fan, he is the best slot receiver in the NFL. He is the best slot receiver in the NFL. And we didn't have another threat outside the last couple of years, right? Because ever since Odell left, Sterling Shepard's had to play on the outside. And he's not as effective on the outside. But now that you have Kenny Golladay on one side and Darius Slayton on the other,
Since when did you guys sign Kyle Rudolph?
We signed him this offseason.
Oh.
So he was our complement to Evan Ingram, because we know how Evan Ingram can either bust or slightly boom. I won't say boom because he never booms, but he slightly booms. Which he's also out this Thursday night, unfortunately, because this is his year. But I talked a lot about the offense. The defense, our defense was top tier last year, and they just couldn't get off the field on third down. They had like an above 60% third down completion percentage, Denver did, and then they were, I think, 3 for 3 on fourth down. Like, you can't win a game like that. But then again, the defense can only do so much. We let Melvin Gordon, who, people thought that he was washed after he left the Chargers, and he ripped off a 70-plus yard touchdown run. So, we play Washington. Knock on wood, Daniel Jones has 8 career wins, and 4 of them are against Washington. So, and knock on wood again, he has 0 turnovers against Washington. So, I'm hoping that Daniel Jones plays a lights-out game. And also, I'm missing the elephant in the room, Saquon Barkley. He didn't have a great game. 10 carries, 26 yards, 1 reception. I'm not going to hate on him too much because he's coming off of an ACL surgery. But the fact that he's not the only one coming off of an ACL surgery, right? Joe Burrow had a good game. Nick Bosa had a good game. He had 2 sacks. It sucks. There's no reason for us to be this shitty.
So on the opposite, let's talk about the opposite side of the ball real quick here. Fucking Teddy Bridgewater, 28 for 36, 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. Same Teddy Bridgewater who played for Carolina last year and couldn't fucking muster up this type of game if his life depended on it.
Maybe it was just because he was in Carolina.
Oh yeah, that's obviously the reason. Is because he was in Carolina. Yeah.
Speaking of Denver, Jerry Jeudy, unfortunately, is out. He's out, I think, 4 to 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of Denver fans are offering their ankles and their legs to Jerry Jeudy, surgery and all. I don't know if you saw that. I thought that was hilarious. Um, but that's a blow. But Denver has a lot of weapons. Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. Um, so they have weapons. But Jerry Jeudy was thought to have a breakout season this year, so well wishes to him. But yeah, there's no excuse for us, and I hate it.
All right, so Bears at the Rams.
Oh, Sunday Night Football. I watched this game as well. I've always been a fan of Matthew Stafford, and he looked happy. He looked fantastic. He had his first drive was a deep bomb for a touchdown. He had another deep bomb later in the game. Stafford played almost a perfect game. He wasn't in duress, and again, the Rams could win it all this year.
All right, so for me, I'm gonna touch up on the opposite side of the ball: Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. So it's no surprise between us that we talk plenty of trash on Andy Dalton. Like
Yes.
his days in Cincinnati, never really was able to get them to the promised land. I mean, during the times he did get to the playoffs, could never get the job done. So
Never get out of the wild card round.
yeah, so off season gets traded to Chicago. Everybody's singing that Andy Dalton's going to be the savior. Then they go ahead and draft Justin Fields during the draft. So, from what I've seen so far, neither one of these players are the answer to the Bears' worries.
Really? You don't think Justin Fields is there? Is all that?
I do not. I'm going to put this the same way I put it for Jacksonville. I do not believe that the Bears' issues are at the quarterback position. It doesn't matter who they bring in, as long as that offensive line is letting people through, which that is the Bears' issue. They have a stellar defense. Anybody who says otherwise are kidding themselves. Granted, it didn't really show this game with 34 points, but
Yeah.
the defense. Let's take a look here. Most of the points that came in the third quarter, and then you had 7 in the fourth quarter. The defense can only hold up for so long, especially against the deep ball, which has never really been the Bears' strong suit anyway.
Yeah, and considering the fact that they lost Kyle Fuller, their best cornerback, um, their front four can only do so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not writing off Andy Dalton or Justin Fields yet. It's only the first game, but like I said, regardless of what happens this season, I do not see Chicago making the playoffs. And it won't
No.
be because of Justin Fields or Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. It'll be amazing, but the thing about the media is that they'll put it on them anyway.
And that's how it usually goes. The quarterbacks are usually the ones you expect to be the ones to carry your team, and when you fail, that's who usually gets the blame, is the quarterbacks or the head coaches.
Yeah. They're not going to say, oh no, Jairo Santos, you suck. You're a kicker. You are the reason that your team has lost so many games when you've only kicked 2 field goals in 15 games. It's your fault. Be a man.
Up next is the Monday night game, and arguably another game of the week for a lot of people.
Oh, hell, NFL, they put their highlights on, and usually they'll just say team versus team, week 1 NFL highlights, season 21, 2020, whatever. The first thing that said, it said game of the year, question mark, exclamation point, Ravens versus Raiders. Um, I watched this game live as well. Um, man, man. So we all know how the Raiders have been the last couple of years, right? They have expectations, and they usually throw a dud on it. Well, we thought the same thing with this game because they were down big against Baltimore. They weren't mustering up any points. Then all of a sudden, they tie it up. Ravens go kick a field goal. It takes Derek Carr about like 20 seconds to get them in the field goal range. They kick the field goal. We're going into overtime. Then the Raiders think that they have the game-winning touchdown. Everyone's taking pictures, jersey swapping, players leaving the field. No, he's down at the 1. So now you're at the goal line, and this is where the Raiders have struggled a lot, running the ball within the 20-yard line. Derek Carr gets picked. So now you're like, oh, fucking shit. There you go, typical Raiders. And then Lamar fumbles again. Granted, he fumbled once earlier in the game. He fumbled twice. Usually he's that good of a runner to where he never does that. He fumbled again. And then Derek Carr, right?
Yep.
Just him. Marlon Humphrey is the one guarding. I can't remember his name. Whoever caught the touchdown. Can't remember his name. He's supposed to guard him, right? But he was facing like to the side. It was an all. You
were wondering who caught the touchdown. I believe it was fucking. Let's see here. The only 3 people that actually had fucking 2 people that had receiving touchdowns were Darren Waller and Zay Jones.
Yeah, Zay Jones. That's who it was. So, Marlon Humphrey was on Zay Jones, right? So it was an all-out blitz, okay? Because they thought that the Raiders were going to run it, okay? Run it straight at the middle. When they hiked the ball, Marlon Humphrey bit on the notion that it was going to be a run. And Zay Jones just took a quick right and just ran for the end zone. And Derek Carr and Marlon Humphrey couldn't react quick enough, so he was already behind him. He was already like 4 steps behind him. And Derek Carr threw a ball off his back foot, like leaning backwards. So, week 1, crazy fucking game. Did I say my game of the week yet? Do you remember?
No.
No, this is my game of the week, for sure. This is my game of the week. Green Bay, New Orleans is my underwhelming game. And then Minnesota and Cincinnati is my sleeper game. This game was crazy.
So, to recap, my game of the week was Browns at Chiefs. My sleeper game was the Steelers at the Bills, and my dud of the week was the same as yours, Packers at the Saints.
We talked about the Raiders a lot. The Ravens, they haven't blown a lead like that in like 20 years. Is there any... because obviously the Ravens are the most beat-up team already. They lost 3 guys to season-ending injuries, their first 2 running backs and Marcus Peters. Is it time to panic already for Baltimore?
I wouldn't say so, no.
They do have Patrick Mahomes next on Sunday Night Football. Do they start 0-2?
I say yeah. Okay. So gonna pull up the Ravens schedule here, real quick. I do say that they start 0-2, yes. However, I do not think that will be any reason for them to worry. So, so after the Chiefs, the Ravens have the Lions, the Broncos, and then the Colts for the next 3 games. The only one out of those 3 I see any reason to worry about would be the Colts.
Yeah, I can say that.
After that, they have the Chargers, Bengals, Vikings, Dolphins. So they have a pretty winnable schedule.
Yeah. But, I don't know.
Alright, so before we continue, I'm going to say this since we're doing quick rundowns and predictions of week 2. Just try and keep track of what I say for my predictions, because that's what I'm going to be picking for the...
Okay, because you haven't actually sent mine yet.
Yeah, so I'm just going to let you know what they are here. So, you want to touch up on some of the games too while we discuss, or just run predictions?
No, we can just run predictions. If we have anything to say about them, we can talk about it a little bit. But obviously, you said, and Hunter said as well, that you guys are going for Washington over the Giants, and obviously, I'm not going to pick over my team. So, that's that.
Yep. So, yeah, like Luigi said, going Washington over the Giants, and he's going Giants over Washington for obvious reasons. Raiders at the Steelers.
So they're in Heinz Field, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one of the games that Hunter told me that he's iffy on. He has Pittsburgh right now because I feel like this would be a game Pittsburgh would win more easily. With, maybe the Raiders game last week was a fluke. I am actually going Pittsburgh as well, because I feel like that would be a better choice. If it was in Vegas, I might give a slighter upper hand to the Raiders, but
I'm going to have to agree with both of you and go Pittsburgh as well for this. I might change this going on later in the week, but like you said, it's the safer pick, so.
Yeah.
49ers at the Eagles. I am going Philadelphia for this one. I picked this as my prediction game or whatever, bonus point game or whatever the hell we want to call it, and I said Eagles would win by 3. I say what you will about Philadelphia, I actually am on the fucking Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith hype train.
Well, this would be their test because the 49ers defense is no joke. I'm going San Francisco because I am not on the Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith hype train.
Because you are a Giants fan and there's no possible way you would ever get on that train.
You are correct.
After that, Texans at Browns, Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland. Again, I said that this would be Houston's only win, but I'm just going to go back on my word because I just don't think that's going to happen. Houston won solely because they were playing Jacksonville. And yeah, that's why.
Yeah, so
although Odell is out week 2 as well. But I don't think that should matter all too much.
That's not going to matter at all. It didn't matter at all last season, really, either.
No, it didn't.
Alright, I'm marking down my picks to send to you.
Yeah, I'm writing them down on the prediction sheet as well. But just send them to me anyway, just so I have them as a backup.
Yep. All right. So after that, Broncos at Jaguars, Denver.
It's at Jacksonville or at Denver?
It is at Jacksonville.
Okay, I feel like Trevor Lawrence will play a better game, but I'm still going Denver because they should have Bradley Chubb back by then, and that's just a matchup nightmare for Trevor Lawrence.
So we're both in agreement for Denver. Who did Hunter go with?
Hunter went with Denver as well. He's gone 49ers, Cleveland, and Denver for the last three.
All right. Saints at Panthers. As much as it pains me to say this, we are doing these predictions for money this year, so I cannot afford to be stupid on every single game.
Well, you could be stupid for your own team.
Yeah, no, not happening. I'm going Saints for the win. As much as it pains me to say this and pick against my own team, especially when it comes to the Saints, I will go against my own team if it comes down to it for money.
Yes, and I know that he's telling the truth, people, because out of all the teams, John absolutely hates the New Orleans Saints. So, I know he's serious.
And I imagine that you and Hunter are both going Saints as well, so...
That is correct.
Although the fucking Panthers do usually play good against division players, or opponents, but...
We'll see
I
if
just...
can put up another good game.
Alright, so... This next game is actually my sleeper game, or potentially game of the week. Early prediction for that. Rams at the Colts.
So, again, this is a hard thing. This is a hard game for me to choose, only because, I love the Colts. I've always loved the Colts. And I feel like the Colts will play good against good teams, but not beat good teams. So I gotta go Rams because they just looked dominant on Sunday Night Football. Hunter's also going the Rams as well.
I'm also going with the Rams.
All right.
Alright, so up next, Bills at the Dolphins.
Yeah, Josh Allen's getting his game back.
So we're both in agreement on the Bills.
Same with Hunter. Yep. There shouldn't be any reason Josh Allen puts up another dud this time.
Alright. Patriots at the Jets. Mac Jones versus Zach Wilson.
Yep. Number 2 versus number, was he 10 or 15? I think it was 15. I'm going New England, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets win this game.
So, I'm going to flat out say this. I am picking the Patriots for the win. I want the Jets to win.
But money.
But money, yes.
But money. I'm not betting my life's earnings on the Jets. Plain and simple. If it came down to the Jets and my money, fuck the Jets.
Yeah. So, Bengals at the Bears. I am going...
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm going Chicago.
Okay. So Hunter's going Chicago, and I think I'm gonna go Chicago as well. I think Cincinnati should win this game, right? But the Bears have a much better front four than the Vikings do, and the Vikings sacked Joe Burrow 5 times. So I feel like Joe Burrow is going to get swallowed, and I feel like the Bears will run with David Montgomery more, ride his tail to their first win. Although my heart wants Cincinnati.
I'm pretty sure we all want Cincinnati, but going with the smart pick, like you said, Joe Burrow got sacked 5 times against Minnesota, and they're arguably worse on defense than the Bears, so...
Yeah.
Up next, Falcons at the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm about to say, do we have to talk about this one? I mean, we knew the Falcons weren't going to beat the Bucs, but the way that they played against the Eagles, now they're going up against division Super Bowl champion. Yeah, no, not happening.
Unless everybody was asleep that one game and then Falcons miraculously just wake up week 2 for some reason. Which you never know, could always be the case for a lot of teams. Fucking...
Yep, it's the NFL.
Yeah.
Alright, what's next?
Vikings at the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Also going Arizona, although I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota manages to win here.
No, because this would be the game that Kyler Murray throws 2 picks, doesn't run for shit, and Dalvin Cook goes for 200 yards. But Arizona was the stronger team last week, so we're going him.
Same here. Titans at Seahawks. I'm going Tennessee.
You're going Tennessee.
I feel like Tennessee will right the ship this week. I really do not want to write them off after just that one loss in Arizona. Especially, like Hunter said, Arizona is a special team this year. Like, he emphasized it more than any of us. Like, we each gave Arizona a decent record when it came to our predictions, but like you said, he really emphasized on how good this team was, and
it showed.
Yeah, it showed, and like, I do not want to go against the Titans just because of one bad week, especially when you have someone like Derrick Henry on offense who, like, let's be honest here, I do not see the Seahawks shutting down Derrick Henry as easily as Arizona did.
No. Granted, it is in Seattle, but I'm going Tennessee as well. Hunter's going Seattle. This is a toss. This is a coin toss game for me.
Same here, basically. Anyway, so I don't need to ask who Hunter's going for this next game. Cowboys at Chargers. He's obviously going for the Chargers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. I'm going with the Chargers, of course.
I'm also going with the Chargers.
Yeah. Especially with DeMarcus Lawrence being out, I feel like Herbert's going to have a field day this time. I think this is going to be a shootout.
So you feel like it's going to be an offensive battle rather than defense then?
Oh yeah, I think Herbert and Dak go off.
Oh, if this is an offensive battle, then I have to actually give the edge to fucking Dak. I feel like the defense is going to be the factor here.
And do you trust the Chargers more?
I trust Dak to throw an interception more than I trust fucking Herbert to do it first.
You're right.
So, I mean, it could be both, but I feel like ultimately it's going to come down to whoever fucks up first, and I feel like Dak's going to be the one to fuck up first, especially with Chargers having home field. So, anyway, Chiefs at Ravens.
I'm going Kansas City.
I am also going Kansas City.
As well as Hunter. Again, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs. It's always hard to bet against the Chiefs.
And finally, as we were saying earlier, Lions at Packers. Will Aaron Rodgers fuck up more, or will he right his ship? I'm going Green Bay here because that is obviously the smart pick to go. But if Aaron Rodgers fucks me over again...
Because, fuck yeah, that's why. Yeah, the both of us are going Green Bay as well. Yeah, this is the game that Aaron Rodgers should wake up.
Yeah, and like we said, if Aaron Rodgers loses this game, we can't necessarily say that it's a reason to panic. It's more so...
Unless he duds like he did against the Saints.
Yeah. So, with that, those have been our Week 1 thoughts and Week 2 predictions. We are currently an hour and 36 minutes into the podcast, and I do not think we have anything else to address. There wasn't anything crazy outside of injuries. Hold on, I'm going to pull up the injury list real quick to see who's all injured.
I mean, we mentioned the major ones, the big ones. So, you know, Jerry Jeudy and DeMarcus Lawrence and all of them.
Oh, Hollywood Brown is non-participant, so he's fine.
Yeah.
So
usually, if they give a break, usually they give breaks on Wednesdays anyway. But yeah, I feel like
don't really have anything. Yep. So with that, I have been the cashier for 419 alongside
Prodigy myself.
Yep. This has been the Extra Point Podcast, where once again we may miss the point, but we will not miss the extra point.
The extra point.
So, I believe we are recording this on a Wednesday night. This episode will more than likely be up on Saturday, so the Thursday game will have already happened. So if you happen to have reached this far, just know that our predictions did happen before the Thursday game. Also, if you could, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out my wrestling content over at Chaos Regional Wrestling, which I do every Saturday night. And with that, we will see you all next time. Also, one more thing. I do want to ask if you and Hunter want to bring back a Real Talk podcast here soon. Because me and Hunter have touched up on like certain topics during my wrestling streams, but haven't really had everybody on board with it. And we were wanting to fucking do that, hopefully for one of the pay-per-views coming up.
Yeah, definitely not Crown Jewel.
No, definitely. But we also have to discuss the elephant in the room, which is NXT 2.0. So.
Oh, you mean Nickelodeon?
Yeah, Nickelodeon.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Alright, so, looking forward to that. Anyway, we will see you all, I want to say sometime next week, or hopefully if everybody has time sometime next week, so we can do week 2 review and week 3 predictions. So, All right, I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.